I'm speaking on behalf of the Refugee Action Collective because this bill affects migrants and it also affects refugees. So the new citizenship laws, the Australian values and the English language test come as part of a racist package against migrants and refugees designed to flame prejudice. And the Turnbull government is currently weak and divided and increasingly nasty in its effort to win back One Nation voters and to cover the way that it's a ruling for the rich. So there's penalty rates cuts for workers, but there's tax cuts for the top end of town. And the English language test really harks back to 1901, the English language test there and the White Australia policy, which was designed to keep non-white people out of Australia. And it was shown to be the case when in 1934 Egon Kitch, a well-known communist who spoke 11 languages including English, only failed the test when they gave it to him in Gaelic. Today, the citizenship and the English language test hit refugees particularly hard. Some refugees are stateless and would remain so under the changes. The other change under the new legislation is that children born to refugees, if they're born in Australia while those claims are being processed, will lose their entitlement to citizenship, which could also render them vulnerable to statelessness. The changes hit older refugees particularly hard, and while refugee children learn English quickly, some older adults who can be survivors of torture or disabled find it much harder to master English. And under the humanitarian program, they only get 510 hours or 3 months of English. That's not enough to lift them to the IELTS level of 6 or university level English. Refugees on temporary protection visas will be permanently ineligible. And for them, it's only when they get citizenship that it becomes practically possible to get family reunion. One of the other changes under the government's higher education package is that now permanent residents will have to pay upfront fees if they want to get university education. So these changes are a big deal. Australia's found these refugees to be owed protection. They're found to be genuine refugees, and the coalition government must not exclude them and migrants from full participation in society. It's a good thing that the Australian Labor Party has opposed the changes. That is welcome, but it's taken far too long for that to happen. I think in part because of their long-standing xenophobic campaign against 457 workers, which they need to drop. And I'll say in passing, migrant workers do not cause unemployment or take jobs. They come, they contribute, and like anyone else, they create demand by consuming goods and services, which creates jobs. It's actually the Turnbull government which has slashed 15,000 public servant jobs since 2013 and done nothing while the auto industry collapsed. The citizenship changes come along with a general package of laws and policies around border protection and national security. And there's no wall between the government's racism towards refugees, towards migrants or towards Muslims. So in RAC we say if you're against the citizenship bill, you have to be against the cruelty of offshore processing and boat turnbacks. For 4 years now we've had innocent people imprisoned offshore. Reza Barati was murdered, 2 people died there. The Australian government is paying compensation, but the crime still continues. And we say that the Australian government sent them there, it can bring them back. And you have to ask as well, is this what Malcolm Turnbull means by Australian values with the new Australian value test? The questions on the new citizenship test try to smear migrants, particularly Muslims, as being responsible for violence against women, to suggest they oppose women's equality or support child abuse. But actually, it's offshore processing that is violence against women and children. The government's own Moss report, the leaked Nauru files, found documented evidence again and again of more than 50 instances of rape and child abuse on Nauru. The Turnbull government knows this, but has left people with their perpetrators. Are these the Australian values that they're talking about? One final point before I wrap up. It's extraordinary at the moment that the government has delayed 10,000 citizenship applications, and people who put their citizenship applications in get a short message from the department saying their claims will be processed under the new law. But there is no new law. The department has no authority to do that. The law has not come through. The claims must be processed and the bill must be stopped. And perhaps before we have the next speaker, we can have one chant, which is say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.